I want to make a video just for you about a subject that I'm not even sure how it came about, where it came up in my stream of consciousness this evening, and yet, however, it did, and it's driven me to be inspired to create this video for all of you out there, for every one of you, for all of you business people and entrepreneurs that you know, grind every day to get things done, for all you moms and dads, and for just everyone in this entire world. Okay, this is for everybody. This isn't niche or niche specific. This is straight up mind reset. And what I'm going to discuss in this video is the term and what it means, where its roots are, and how to embrace those moments in which you have what we call the dark night of the soul. I'm going to say it again, just because it just feels so brevity. You know, there's so much brevity in it. You know, the dark night of the soul. What is that? Well, my translation boils down to this. A dark night of the soul for us human beings having a human experience and finding ourselves in times of deep despair. I'm not talking about times of kind of unhappy. I'm talking about deep despair, where you're sad, where you're feeling depressed, where you just, hope seems to be like a cliche, where, you know, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel seems to be out of your reach, that it's just dark. It's dark, and sometimes it takes a long time to come through those times. There's numerous things that could be, you know, happen, you know, events in your life that could spark these, or things could just start happening. And you all know that I'm a firm believer in the law of attraction. I know for a fact that everything happens. And sometimes it's crazy. Sometimes it'll make you just like, you know, like, what? What do you mean? You know, we are participating in our experience at all times, and it's really important to be aware of that. However, having this process, this dark night of the soul thing happen to you, especially when you're working valiantly every single day to improve your life and be positive and research and look for ways to uplift yourself, and you got your diet better, and you're exercising more, and you're enjoying your family more, you're becoming more engaged in your activities instead of just blindly flying through things. And things are, you know, you're doing that. I know you're doing that. In one way or another, every day your life improves. When these times show up, it makes it difficult to recognize those things. You know how people always say, oh, just be thankful for what you have, and oh, gratitude. And I do this all the time. I'm telling you right now, I do it right to you. Gratitude is the fertile ground on which your manifestations are born, you know, and I know it and you know it. So what happens? Why do we get depressed? Why do we have these times in our life? You know, I'm not gonna list any like really bad things that could happen that could cause someone to go through something like this. However, it does happen to people, and good people have horrible things happen, and horrible experiences and trying experiences, and for every person, no matter what the degree you see, you know, would cause you pain, and that the degree, it doesn't matter. The person that's experiencing it is in their dark night, and they will feel depressed and lonely. They'll be sad. They will have no hope. They will see no hope. They'll disengage. You know, sometimes they'll eat more, or they'll eat less, or you'll find them saying constantly, I suffer from depression. And then they become addicted to that whole label. But the dark night of the soul is supposed to do something different for you. The dark night of the soul, for me, I really believe that it's kind of supposed to do that to you. Just make everything meaningless. You know, I read this, reading a little bit and watching a little bit of videos on Eckhart Tolle, or Tolle. I call him Eckhart Tolle, so that's what I want to say. He feels this way, that It's meant to be part of your spiritual process in order to kind of release your egoic state and find no meaning in anything whatsoever, so that you can kind of like wipe your slate clean. And it happens. So what do you do when you're in there and you just like, everything's nothing? What do you do? You know, I personally have been through many dark nights. I'll give you some background on myself, you know, because I think it's important. I think it's important for me to give up a little bit of this on myself. I used to be a sad kid, you know. I was sad. I also spent a great part of my late 20s as pretty sad. Very lonely is the word I would use. I used to feel extremely lonely. And I was unhappy where I lived. I was, you know, it just wasn't at the place where I was seeing things for what they truly were. And I was experiencing things for what they truly were. And I was addicted to all sorts of circumstance and consequence. And I was sad, and I self-medicated to come out of that sadness, and all that did was just numb me up, you know. And I remember years and years ago, someone told me, you know, don't bottle that shit up. Shit, it's like a garbage can, you know. When it's full, it's full. You got to take it out and empty it, right? That's what the dark night of the soul is, and they can go on for a long period of time. Some people allow themselves to stay there. I can tell you personally, I know for a fact that any extended period of time that I went through any kind of dark night of my soul, I could have come out way faster than I did. You know, sometimes you got to stay in the problem to learn from the problem. And all of that is really up to you. It's up to you how fast you want to learn from the problem. And I think that this one thing that I'm going to share with you tonight is really going to help you make those dark night of the souls way smaller. Yet, you're still going to feel the impact. It's just that you have ascended to a higher level of spiritual and emotional thinking and psychological thinking and feeling that's going to help you move out of those faster than you have before, and just in the right amount of time that you need to learn the lesson. You don't need to stay in them forever. There is hope, believe it or not. You don't, right now, if you are going through it, you're not believing it. So that's fine. Because you might look at me again tomorrow and say, shit, it might click tomorrow, okay? What I've discovered that when I finally decided, you know what, I'm just going to embrace that shit. When I'm upset and things spiral out of control and I get nervous and I experience anxiety and I feel hungry and, you know, there's certain, you know, material limitations start happening. When you're down, shit goes to shit. After the experience that we had before Stella was born, that was some strange-ass dark night, because I had to keep going, and I just wanted to fall apart like I had always done before, okay? I wanted to just fucking drink it away. And I didn't. I just didn't. So the hard times that I went through were far shorter than the amount of hard times I went through in the past. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that, I'm just saying that the action of my drinking was on purpose to suppress the power that was coming out of me. Now, I don't. So that particular difficult time, it drives me to tears, and when anything kind of physically reacts, kind of reminds me of that, really flips me the fuck out. Don't get me wrong. Still have like anxiety about it. Like what do you call it? Like a PTSD, where it's still like, oh, and I can feel it all the way, and then push it right back out of the top of my head. Like, okay, thank you. I remember things. And the reason why I'm able to do that far better now, instead of wallowing, I think a big mistake all of us make is we wallow. We don't take the situation for exactly what the fuck it is. We decide to wallow in it, and then we develop excuses that we tell ourselves to stay in the wallow. And, you know, maybe we'll say something like, well, I obviously need to learn this lesson, so I might as well stay here till I'm finished. Well, if you've said that, if you know that in your mind, you already have learned your lesson. So I guess what I'm saying here is, I'm not guessing, I am saying it's time to embrace those dark moments. You actually will find yourself really appreciate it with your heart. You'll really just appreciate it with your heart. And once you can do that, the amount of time in which they happen become further and further and further and further and further apart. I'm not going to promise any of you that it won't happen again. You are a spirit having a human experience, and this human experience brings about physical and mental anguish. There's no doubt. But that doesn't mean you have to live like that all the time with brief synapses of happiness. Stretch the happiness out by embracing those dark times, and they will grow further and further apart. Because what you're saying to God, what you're saying to the universe, what you're saying to yourself is, I don't need to spend that much time down. I prefer a life of ease. I prefer to be happy. I'm making a conscious, mental, and emotional decision to be a happier person, to be a person of action. Because when you're not procrastinating, you're not going to waste time that you don't need to waste inside of a moment of darkness. The moment of darkness will go from being months long to weeks long to days long to a day long. I've got myself down to perhaps maybe every 6 to 8 months, I'll have one day that I'm just like, like, whoa. And I'm out of there as fast as I can, because I know that if you wallow in the darkness, instead of embracing the darkness, it's kind of like a fleeting kiss from a lost lover. You just kiss them on the cheek and move on. If you embrace and you allow yourself to wallow, you'll just keep yourself in that emotional state. It's like missing it's like missing somebody you love that you can't be around anymore. You can remove yourself from that. You can experience, embrace, and move on, and you will get faster, as I know I will get faster at it. I know I'll be able to break dark nights of the soul down to hours and then minutes, and possibly as I grow in my spirituality and my oneness and my engagement with myself and my God, that I will have the strength to be able to really learn my lessons in a swift manner and not have to have it extend out for so long. And well, I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. That's just what I have to say, and I know that there's a few people out there. I know even if one person that watches this understands what I'm saying and gets any kind of insight from it, I'm happy about that. I'm really happy about that. Don't be mad at yourself because you're sad. You're supposed to be sad from time to time. Okay, it's bittersweet, so find that sweet. Find the crack, because there's where the light will come through, okay? All you got to do is find the crack. And then you keep practicing that more and more and more. And you are going to experience a much more fulfilling and happy life in which you will not label yourself as a person that suffers from depression. You won't. You won't do it. You'll be in the moment, okay? Now is the time. I love you all very, very much, and I am going to I'm gonna go look for some Eckhart Tolle links, I think, for books. Really powerful stuff. So, this is meat. This isn't definitely for somebody that we can only handle milk right now. This is stuff that you've really got to experience. I'm also going to put another link to a video. Oh gosh, there's this woman, I don't know her name. Kara Kanava introduced me to her, and she created a video about the Dark Night of the Soul. It's absolutely stunning, and I don't know if you're going to like her style. And I say this because I'm like, when I look at her talking, I'm like, what? However, there's great wisdom coming out of the mouth. So check it out and listen to her experience and how she talks about it. I think it will reveal a lot to you. I really think that actually watching her her channel and keeping up with her YouTubes probably will help a lot of people, you know, just be a happier person and experience things in a much more pleasant way. So I'm going to put the link to that video down there. Check out her channel. Shout out to Carrick Navo, and shout out to Eckhart Tolle, and I love you very much. I'll see you soon. You stay tuned. Peace.